Hey guys, Aaron Cybertron Zhang here, and today I'm back with another episode of Road to Ranked, where I climb the online series 12 ladder and provide live commentary as I go. Today we're trying out a really fun anti-meta hyper offense team built by a player called Cortex. He recently finished in the top 16 of the Indianapolis Regional Championships with this team, and it's fun when you look at the tournament results, for that tournament. Like, this team just sticks out so much because it has so many cool Pokemon and sets on it. So I've linked Cortex's Twitter down in the description below, as well as a rental and a paste if you want to try it out yourselves. And there's a really great team report for this on Adi's YouTube channel, so I've also linked that down in the description below. As always, I'll do a quick breakdown of the team, but if you want to just skip to the battles, check out the timestamps linked in the description below. Thanks so much as always for watching. If you do enjoy, please share support by leaving a like in the video. I'd really appreciate it. And question of the day, I'm curious what berry you think deserves a buff currently in, Pokemon. So let me know in the comment section below. Anyway, this team is really wild. First of all, the restricted duo is Kyurem White plus Calyrex Shadow Rider, which is a very, very rare restricted duo. But the idea here is, first of all, Kyurem White actually has a very favorable matchup into a lot of the most common restricted Pokemon, right? Kyogre can't really deal too much damage to it. Kyurem is incredible into Groudon, for example, and you have incredible type coverage here. The other fun thing, as you'll note, is that Kyurem, has Earth Power, which turns into Max Quake, has Ancient Power, which turns into Max Rockfall, and with so many Resist Berries in the format right now, Calyrex Shadow Rider can come out and essentially turn those Resist Berries off, thus allowing Kyurem to actually pick up one-hit KOs onto things like Shuca Berry Incineroar or Charty Berry Charizard, which your opponents normally might not expect, right? And so part of the synergy here is that Calyrex can cancel out berries from the opposing end. Calyrex is also still just one of the most powerful Pokemon in the format, and on hyper offense teams, right, it's really designed to just get a lot of spread type damage, and so like Kyurem's there to try to pick up big one-hit knockouts, and Calyrex is there to kind of just chip away at everything, and then also look towards end games where you ideally can get like a single Astral Barrage boost, and then really go from there. It's important to note that Calyrex's moveset here is Astral Barrage, Speed Swap, Imprison, and Trick Room, so you can do a lot of fun stuff with Speed Swap, but most importantly, make Kyurem fast and just give it a speed boost immediately. Because this team is so hyper offensive, first of all, you'll note that there are not very many Protects. In fact, the only Pokemon that carries Protect here is Indeedee. So if Trick Room goes up against this team, it's often going to be really difficult to pull off a comeback. So as a result, this Calyrex has both Imprison and Trick Room, and that's a more consistent way of denying opposing Trick Room. Sometimes players will just run Trick Room on Calyrex and play the mind games and like try to reverse it immediately, but that requires reading into your opponent, right? Whereas with Imprison, you click that and your opponent basically can just not set up Trick Room at all, and you don't have to play the mind game of, oh, are they clicking Trick Room this turn or are they not? So you also have, classic Psychic Seed Indeedee here. I think redirection is just really important for Kyurem because otherwise Kyurem is obviously super weak to Zacian, so that's why you see things like Amoonguss or Indeedee often paired with it. And then finally, to round out the team, we've got Choice Scarf Ditto, Choice Band Urshifu, and Custap Berry Talonflame. So Scarf Ditto, out of those three, is the easiest to explain, where the goal is just to clean up games. It's really valuable because it can copy Zacian and not only get a single attack boost, but actually copy the attack boost and then get another attack boost on top. And with the Scarf, you can just outspeed opposing Zacian. So when you're using Kyurem White in this format, you need to have good Zacian answers, and so this team has plenty between the Ditto, between the Indeedee for redirection, and then the Talonflame. Choice Band Urshifu here is pretty cool because you get just way more damage output than your opponents would generally expect. Fire Punch in the Sun with Choice Band, I believe, can actually one-shot Zacian, which, opponents will definitely be caught off guard by. And so, like, Talonflame plus Urshifu, for example, you can Tailwind and then just go for Fire Punch onto Zacian. And then Banded Surge and Strikes in close combat just does so much more damage than players normally anticipate. Finally, we get down to the Talonflame here. It's interesting because Talonflame was actually one of the best Pokemon in VGC back in 2014, but, they really nerfed it throughout the years, and Gale Wings now is significantly weaker, right, than it used to be. This set is really interesting, where first of all, the goal is to get Tailwind up, right? But Talonflame is a little bit different from some of the other Tailwind users that you might be used to, like Whimsicott and Tornadus, and there are a couple reasons for that. First of all, it attacks on the physical end, but second of all, it's also, it can do decent damage with Flare Blitz, and it also gets Will-O-Wisp as well as Endure. Endure plus Custap Berry is one of the most interesting combinations that you can run here, right? Because the idea is that with Endure, Talonflame will stick around for a little bit longer, and then the idea is that you will then be, in range for the Custap Berry, thus allowing you to get another surprise attack off before fainting. So I think that combination is really, really cool. One thing you can do with this Talonflame is potentially even get multiple Tailwinds up, which is definitely really neat. And then overall, the Will-O-Wisp here is really valuable because by burning a Zacian, suddenly it's a lot harder for Zacian to just, pick up one-hit KOs onto everything, especially something like Kyurem White, for example. So yeah, I think this is just such an interesting take on hyper offense, and it has so many unconventional sets, and it's a great way to show how you can use really interesting restricted duos and really interesting sets and still play super well in tournaments. So I've talked for long enough, but yeah, I think like this team just has so many cool tricks. So watch that team report if you really want to learn more, and let's get started. Okay, pretty standard Zacian Kyogre here, but they do have Raichu, which is always interesting. So one lead I kind of like against these teams is Talonflame plus Calyrex. If they go with like Tornadus plus Kyogre or Tornadus Zacian, I can actually pivot Talonflame out into Kyurem and set up Trick Room, which is really interesting. So I want Talonflame, Calyrex, Ditto, Kyurem in this one, I think. Although maybe we could replace Ditto for something like Indeedee. Like, we both have Tailwind here, right? So the interesting thing is, with Tailwind, do I try to also set up my own Tailwind? Do I try to match their Tailwind? Because let's say they do go Tornadus Kyogre, like, we could just go Tailwind plus Astral Barrage on turn 1, right? Then they maybe Tailwind, they Water Spout. And that's where things get a little bit scary. So, like, instead, then, one possibility is that we switch Talonflame out into Kyurem and then just set up Trick Room. If I were my opponent, the biggest question is, what 4 Pokemon do you bring? I think Tornadus, Kyogre, Zacian for sure. And I honestly think Kartana is a pretty decent 4th for them. So, like, something like Tornadus, Kyogre, Tornadus, Zacian lead makes sense. Tornogre is probably the most oppressive one in terms of damage output. So if we go up against that, then the idea is to set up Trick Room rather than Tailwind. The question is, I guess, what I do with Talonflame. Because I could switch it out into Kyurem, but Kyurem still takes a lot from a Water Spout in Rain. Oh, but it's Kartana Raichu. Not what I expected at all. Okay. Oh, that's interesting. You can fake out turn 1 or Nuzzle. If there was ever a game to Dynamax Talonflame at max flare, it is honestly this game. Because we expect Zacian and plus Ogre in the back. And from Raichu's end, it makes sense to simply click Fake Out onto Talonflame. I'm tempted. I really am tempted here. What's the alternative? So I've got Ditto and Kyurem in the back. Like, yeah, I don't know. The question I have here then is, did they ever max Kartana? Because Kartana switching out into Kyogre is the obvious play, and then you can Nuzzle. So I'm interested in, like, max Flare into... I probably didn't need to max Flare here, but let's see if they stay in with Kartana. Nice, they switch out, so it should be Kyogre. So the idea here is, like, I think Raichu clicking Fake Out onto Talonflame makes sense. I guess, though, like, Talonflame's pretty fast here, so even if they clicked Fake Out, it was fine. Maybe I didn't need to Dynamax. But, like, honestly, Max Talonflame kind of rocks here because, like, it changes the weather, and then it's really good into both Kartana and Zacian. So, like, I'm kind of down for it. One of those rare scenarios where, like, it actually makes sense to Dynamax something, even though it only has one offensive attack. Okay. Yeah, Raichu didn't go for Fake Out, so I don't know. Was it necessary? Probably not, but free Astral Barrage. It's great damage. Like, I could have just clicked Flare Blitz there instead, right? But this allows me to change the weather, which is pretty sweet. And now, like, if you have Kartana or Zacian in the back, well, both of them kind of just get dunked on by a Max Flare, right? So then the interesting thing is, like, well, you have to bring out Zacian right now, I think. Well, I guess it'd be AV Kartana, but... Sorry, non-AV Kartana could be, like, Focus Sash instead, but yeah, Zacian comes out. One of the things I do have to be a little bit careful about is how do I deal with the Kartana in the late game. Honestly, here, though, I am down to just Max Flare into Astral Barrage, because Max Flare through Protect still does a ton of damage. And then if you KO Talonflame, I can just bring Ditto out to copy their Zacian. So, not really how I expected things to go with Talonflame here, but it's always fun to find, like, niche scenarios where you can make things work, right? The other play to make, by the way, this turn was maybe to Max Guard Talonflame, but like I said, I don't even care about Talonflame fainting, because it grants me a free switch-in into Ditto. And that's really valuable right now. The only thing is that Kyurem's not exactly going to be the best Pokemon for us here, but let's see. Yep, Zacian goes for the obvious protect. Still fine. Max Flare in the sun is still going to do a sizable amount of damage. Okay, we'll just chip away at Kyogre with Astral. Not bad. I guess I get to flare the Kyogre slot here, but I don't mind just ensuring Zacian can't get an attack off here, right? Like, that did 40%. That's really solid. And they go for Geyser. Yep. I wonder if this one-shots us. In Sun, I wouldn't expect it to, but I don't know. I feel like I'm just too used to Talonflame being, like, ultra, ultra frail. But it is enough to survive, which is perfect. Beautiful. The only downside here is that, like, I'm not really getting any special attack boost via Astral Barrage, but that's fine. I'm willing to just go for another Max Flare here into an Astral Barrage. There's no downside to this, right? Oh, I guess the problem now, though, is that, you can angle to just knock me out with Zacian. But the thing is, like, I was thinking about max guarding Talonflame last turn, but then the thing is, Kyogre could launch the attack into Calyrex, and then I'd lose a lot, honestly. So, I'm still fine with this. Because, like I said, if, let's say, Zacian KOs Talonflame right now, then I bring in my Zacian, or sorry, my Ditto to copy your Zacian, and then Astral Barrage is just going to pick up a double knockout from that point. And I still have a Kyurem in the back as well. But honestly, we would have been better off having, like, Indeedee over Kyurem here, interestingly enough. Okay, Astral Barrage almost gets the KO there. And they're actually going to Behemoth Blade here. Looks like in a Calyrex. Okay, cool. Makes sense. They might be just going for the knockout onto Calyrex here, but I'm also fine with that. Like, Scarf Ditto was so good in this matchup, given that they did not end up bringing Tornadus. Because my goal, I had a bunch of different goals. One was potentially set up Tailwind on our own end and go from there. The other was actually set up Trick Room with Calyrex. But it ended up being neither, since they went with this interesting Raichu Kartana lead. Ooh, okay, I see. Hailstorm to pick up the double knockout. I like that. Does that KO Talonflame, though? It does, okay. Yeah, that's a nice play. I'm fine with this, though, because I get a free switch into Scarf Ditto, which allows me to copy something. I think with Ditto, we just copy the Kyogre, honestly, because... well... Kyurem shouldn't get one shot, right? The thing, though, is if I copy... because even if you're Assault Vest Kyogre... or sorry, Assault Vest Kartana, Water Spout still dunks on you. Yeah, so I'm down to bring out Kyurem. And then, like, I don't think Kyurem gets one shot by Kartana either. So I'm fine with this outcome. I don't know, maybe it was fine to just let Ditto copy the opposing Kartana, because then, like, we just have a faster Sacred Sword guaranteed, but I like the idea of spread-type damage right now. Okay. Ditto comes out, we have Choice Scarf on it, we copy Kyogre, we change the weather. Now the idea is, like, 2 Water Spouts KOs Kartana, even if you're AV, I think. Got Earth Power here. I'm down to just target the Kyogre slot in the chance that, like, they protect. Oh, wait. Kyogre can max guard here, no? Yeah, actually, because of that, we should Earth Power into Kartana instead. And Water Spout. Yep, there's max guard. Okay. Scarf Water Spout. Beautiful. Leaf Blade. Yep. And this is perfect now, right? Because Earth Power just KOs the Kartana, and then we just win the 1v1 against Kyogre. So, cool. Okay. And Earth Power should just finish it off. Fantastic. Yeah, this game did not play out the way I expected it to at all, but as soon as I saw the Raichu lead, I was like, okay, I feel like we can actually do something pretty interesting here, and it worked out for us. So Dynamax now ends on Kyogre's end as well. The only problem with that play would have been if, like, Kyogre could have actually survived Water Spout from the range that it was at, but I didn't think it could, honestly. Yeah, we just go for Earth Power here. Never want to risk missing any of the other attacks. And we're faster. Beautiful. There's the Life Orb Earth Power, and that's a KO. So Kyurem was actually a little bit more effective than I initially said it would have been. Because in my head, I was like, oh, if I had Kartana in the back, or Indeedee in the back here. Actually, Indeedee also would have won us the game, because with Indeedee plus the Choice Scarf Kyogre, I just go Follow Me plus Water Spout. So, yeah. I can't remember the last time we've Dynamaxed Talonflame on Road to Ranked, but that was really fun. So, let's look for another. Whoa! Dialga, Giratina, Origin Form, Aleki, Venu, Alolan Persian, and Indeedee. Giratina, Dialga, very cool. Huh, and Alolan Persian. I love it. I mean, Kyurem offensively is really solid here. It can one-shot so many things. Talonflame, Will-O-Wisp, can help out a little bit against Giratina. Bandit, Urshifu, close combat's somewhat valuable. I do have to worry about Trick Room. If they would go Indeedee plus Dialga, you could have a decently easy Trick Room setup. My answer to that would be maybe Imprisoning with Calyrex. I think I'm just going to go with Talonflame, Calyrex, Ditto, Kyurem here. Like, our Indeedee is not bad because it's actually really solid now that I think about it. I mean, Walls Giratina, redirects attacks away from Dialga. Like, I could just go with Indeedee and Kyurem, no? Talonflame's just interesting to me, though, right? Because let's say they lead Regieleki, then I can just go the fast route. If we outpace my opponent, like, we should just win this game. But if we went with Indeedee, what would I want to lead it with? Like, Indeedee Kyurem is, I think, pretty viable, because Kyurem offensively does super well into my opponent's entire team here. So, like, I can one-shot a lot of things. So, let's see. Indeedee and Aleki. Okay. I mean, I guess that's actually not that good for me here. Like, Tail and Astral Barrage is decently safe, and if... Because the whole setup in this game should be about Kyurem White, right? So yeah, why don't I just Tail and Astral Barrage here? They could just Electro up Expanding Force, but that's fine. Ditto and Kyurem with Tailwind up is so powerful here. Do I ever switch out? I don't really feel safe about that. Okay. Yeah, I'll just Tailwind Astral Barrage here. Yeah, Lucky protects. Good play. I'm okay with that, though, because it means this next turn I have the ability to Flare Blitz with Talonflame, but I suppose then they could just follow me with Indeedee. It's fine. Here, I really wish we had Expanding Force. It'd be so good. Ooh, Mystical Fire into Calyrex. Okay. I like that play. Still fine by me. I'm still going to go for Astral Barrage. Still going to click Flare Blitz onto Aleki here. The expectation now is that Indeedee goes for Follow Me. Flare Blitz does hopefully over 50% to it. Astral Barrage chunks away at Regieleki, and then I get a free switch it into Kyurem White, which is what I'm looking for. Ooh, they're going to go with the Dynamax Aleki route. Okay. Okay. Do I mind that? I don't think so. I mean, I'd rather see Aleki Dynamax than Dialga or Giratina in this matchup, but with my lead right now, it is a little bit awkward. Follow me. Yep. See how much Flare Blitz does. Okay, Astral. Much less. Well, I say much less, but that's still decent damage on a Regieleki, truthfully, for given that we're a -1 and they're Dynamaxed. Oof, that's not a lot of damage on an Indeedee, unfortunately. Okay. There's Max Lightning on a Calyrex, yep. So you grant me a free switch in now, and I think Kyurem is probably just the right bet here. I just wonder if I can get a second Tailwind up in this game. With Custap and Endure, I think it's possible. I could also use Ditto to copy their Aleki, but I think Kyurem is the right call here. Because saving Ditto to copy one of their restricteds is just so powerful in this endgame. Okay. Kyurem's out now. Kyurem walls Regieleki decently well. 2 turns of Tailwind left. You don't have any special defense boosts. Dynamax. They could Max Guard Aleki and Mystical Fire me or protect Indeedee here. So this turn is actually pretty interesting. I'm going to click Endure with Talonflame for sure. I wonder if Life Orb Max Quake KOs Indeedee if it gets redirected, but I really don't want to get hit by a Mystical Fire, to be honest. I'm actually going to Wormwind into Indeedee here and Endure. Well, the interesting thing is that I can switch out Talonflame into Ditto, especially if we KO Indeedee. I have one more turn of Max as well. So my worst fear here is that Indeedee just goes for Protect. It's pretty risky because then, like, I mean, I could have just targeted the Aleki slot, but given their, like, willingness to go for Protect and Mystical Fire like they did on turn 1, I think maybe there's a chance they'd go for that again here, and I'm nervous about that. Okay. There's Endure from Talonflame. Yeah, Indeedee just goes for Follow Me. Okay, that's a good outcome. That is a good outcome. I basically just didn't want to, like, play the mind game where one Pokemon protects and the other attacks, and I attack into whatever's protecting, essentially. Because if Indeedee protects there, then Aleki gets a free attack off. Well, it's a little bit less than ideal for me, in my opinion. But, given this turn, I think we're in okay shape so far. Okay, there's Max Lightning. Oh, interesting. They target Kyurem. Okay. I mean, probably just expecting Talonflame to protect or switch out, to be honest. And obviously Endure is such a random tech. That makes sense. Okay. You're going to have Dialga and Giratina as your last two. Regardless of who we bring out, which is Dialga for now. Okay. Last turn of Tailwind. Got Ditto in the back. I mean, here it's pretty easy for me to Max Quake into Aleki, right? And that gives me a special defense boost. I'm honestly interested in Max Quake and then Will-O-Wisp here onto Dialga. Just for chip, because if I Flare Blitz, I take more recoil, and I think maybe with the special defense boost, I can survive an attack from the Dialga. And if that's the case, obviously that's great news for me. Especially if Aleki faints, then it's a pretty free second Tailwind up with Talonflame. And of course I miss Will-O-Wisp though. But they don't protect, so I mean, I still get the KO onto Aleki. It's not like we really need Will-O-Wisp here, so it's fine. Could be worse. I just feels very fitting. But we get the knockout onto Aleki, a special defense boost here as well. I mean, I guess Dialga could just like Roar of Time the Kyurem here. I don't think a Flash Cannon with Life Orb would KO. They're up for Trick Room. Okay, I should have thought about that a little bit more. That's going to cause me issues. I should have targeted Dialga then just to cover for the Trick Room option. Yeah, that was sweet. That was really well done. Got a special defense boost. Tailwind just expired. I mean, Ditto in the back does not do me any favors given Trick Room. Yeah. I honestly just didn't really think they had Trick Room here because their team is like somewhat speedy, but I guess I don't really need to KO Aleki there because what is Aleki ever really going to do to cure him in that position, right? So, yeah, nicely done. I will Quake here into the Dialga slot, but the problem is I think they can double up onto Kyurem right now pretty easily. And I'll Will-O-Wisp into Giratina. Yeah, there's Flash Cannon. Okay. It's Life Orbed. And Dragon Claw. That was a really good Trick Room. Yeah, I mean, like, Trick Room is so common on Dialga as well, but I just didn't really consider it that much of as an option because when I looked at my opponent's team, I didn't think it was likely. Talonflame misses another Will-O-Wisp, but that doesn't matter. I mean, this game was essentially won off the Trick Room turn. If I just Max Quake Dialga there, we KO it, I think I'd win the game from that position. I don't think I needed to be that scared of Aleki, because Aleki just can't hit the Kyurem at all. Really cool team. Curious about the Giratina moveset here. Shadow Sneak, Shadow Force, Dragon Claw, Protect. Yeah, that makes sense. And the team that we're using here is really weak if Trick Room goes up. So, yeah. all I needed to do was max quick Dialga that turn, but in my head, like, I was like, oh, okay, well, Lecky, get another Tailwind up. Because their team just doesn't scream Trick Room to me on paper, right? You've got a Lecky, like, Venu and Alolan Persian are also pretty fast as well. And so that's one of the nice things where you don't necessarily need to be a hard committed Trick Room team, right? I think it's one of those where, one, you can use the Trick Room to reverse opposing Trick Rooms, and in the right situation like this one, you can get a lot of value out of it. So, really cool team there. Third game here, and it is Zacian Calyrex with Galarian-Moltres. I'm really intrigued by Talonflame here because of Will-O-Wisp. If I were them, I would probably lead, I don't know, Galarian-Moltres, Indeedee, Galarian-Moltres, Zacian. Indeedee, Zacian. I think I'm down for just Talonflame plus Kyurem here. Calyrex in the back, and then Ditto as the fourth. I just don't want to lead Calyrex. Part of it is I think that last game made me realize because Calyrex only has Astral Barrage, it's a little bit weak into Indeedee lead, right? And if I lead Calyrex here, it's not only weak to Indeedee, but it's also weak to Moltres. Let's say my opponent went like Indeedee Moltres, right? Like that's like a disastrous combination. That's what they went with. Thank you for proving me right. And it's just like, what am I gonna do against this with Galarian Moltres, or sorry, with Calyrex, right? I need to knock one of these out first and then pave the way for the Calyrex. The interesting thing is I don't even necessarily need to Tailwind with Talonflame here on turn 1. Like I'm down to just, well, I guess the problem is like Galarian Moltres can max Airstream, right? So actually I should Tailwind. Yeah. Okay. So we're gonna go for Tailwind here. We're gonna Dynamax. Do I even need a Dynamax? I mean, I think the answer is... Oh, man, actually, just going for Blizzard here is interesting. What's the reason for staggering my Dynamax, though? Because it's like, I'm not really going to max Calyrex or Ditto, and then I end up eating a max Airstream, potentially. That's not great, either. I could activate a Policy this way. Yeah, I think it's too risky, so... Turn 1, I'm down to just Tailwind. I am down to just max Hailstorm, and I'm down to just target Galarian Moltres. Basically, force the Indeedee to follow me. If Indeedee follow me is fine, then the next turn I can just Flare Blitz to KO it, max Hailstorm onto the Galarian Moltres slot. They're going to have Calyrex and Zacian in the back, and Ditto is going to be excellent against both of those. Okay, so Kyurem's out now. I mean, even if your weakness policy Galarian Moltres, I don't think it's that scary. Indeedee is Psychic Seed here. Ooh, interesting. No Dynamax. Oh, it's probably a Snarl then, right? Which I guess I don't love seeing, but it's fine still. I mean, Max Hailstorm's going to do a lot, but thanks to the Psychic Seed, it should survive. Oh my gosh, that was actually so close to KOing after Hail. Man, if we got that one-hit like knockout after Hail, it would be in such good shape. Oh, that's actually Nasty Plot. Okay. Nasty Plot's scary, but it's doable. Indeedee feints from one more turn of Hail here. It could endure, but I honestly like kind of want Talonflame to feint so I can bring in something to copy my opponent. Moltres could protect here, right? Or Max Guard, and then Indeedee could like Expanding Force. You feint from Hail though, so like I'm down to just Flare Blitz and Max Hailstorm into Moltres, because I need damage onto that. They're gonna Dynamax. Okay. My question is whether or not it's a Max Guard or not. But if you're not Max Guarding, honestly, it's fine. Like, I've gotten Tailwind up. I guess the only downside is Kyurem sitting across from the Moltres slot right now. And if it were the other way around, then I could bring out Ditto to copy their Moltres, and that would be so sick. I'm still not used to Galarian Moltres being Kanto Moltres' colors when it's shiny. Okay. They went for Helping Hand. I might just KO them with this double up, though. That was really risky to not go for a Follow Me, in my opinion. And if we KO here, I think we just win the game. Nice. See, the scenario there is basically I'm forcing my opponent to click follow me with Indeedee, and if you don't click follow me, I get to punish you so heavily, right? That was like an incredibly greedy play. I think what they were going for was just going all in and trying to knock out Kyurem, which is fair. The best play they could have gone for there was probably Max Guard, and then like to stall to turn on my Max. The thing is, I still have another turn of Tailwind though, so even if you do that, like, I'm still in a really good spot going into the next turn. Okay, so Zacian comes out. And Calyrex, yep. Anyway, I've got Ditto plus my own Calyrex in the back, so I just don't think there's any way we lose this game at this point. I guess the one way we lose is if they somehow get a Trick Room up. Just double checking the field state real quick. It's the last turn of oh no, there's 2 turns of Tailwind left. I don't even think KO Talonflame here. Max Quake Zacian is really safe. But I don't want Trick Room to ever go up here. Like, I'm down to just Flare Blitz and Quake into their Calyrex slot, because I've got a Ditto and I've got a Calyrex in the back. They don't protect. Cool. But the thing is, like, even if Calyrex protects there, it's fine, right? I don't really lose that much out of it. I get a Max Quake for a special defense boost. That plus Hail breaks your Focus Sash. Zacian KO something, sure, but then I bring out my Calyrex, just Astral Barrage, KO their Calyrex, and I still got a Ditto waiting in the back as well. So, this game highlights though, like honestly, like took away a lot from the second game where I lost, and this is why it's like losses are so valuable, right? Because you can figure out where you can improve your play. And in game 2, like I realized just leading the Calyrex immediately maybe was a little suboptimal because it was completely trapped against Indeedee, because we don't have any other offense other than Astral Barrage, right? So, yeah. Okay, Kyurem faints now. And I can just simply bring in Ditto, copy their Zacian, Behemoth Blade, and end the game right now. I wish we could have like shown off just how cool Custap Berry could have been in today's episode. We didn't really get to use it as much, but I mean, Talonflame was really the MVP. It felt like set up so many Tailwinds for us, and the Flare Blitz damage output is honestly so significant as well. And once again, like this Talonflame just operates a little bit differently from your typical Tailwind users in Whimsicott or Tornadus, because first of all, you have physical damage rather than special, and then you also have a pretty interesting set of moves with Will-O-Wisp as well to round things out. So now we can just blitz into Zacian and Behemoth Blade. Yeah, cool. Yeah, Talonflame put in a lot of work today. It's also kind of funny because my opponent's name was like you, so I was reading it as like you lose. But I guess lose you because lose was on top of it. But yeah, this team is really cool. Like, I think, you know, the second game, if I had just quaked into Dialga, I honestly think we just win the game from that position. Because Alecki doesn't do very much. I think I just, like, didn't think about the worst case scenario there, which was Trick Room going up. And part of it was because I was like, oh, you know, like, I don't... In my head, I just didn't really think about Trick Room because their team looked so fast, and so in Team Preview, it didn't scream to me let Dialga would have Trick Room. But Trick Room is such a common move on Dialga, like, even though they don't have, like, super slow Pokemon, it's something that you should always expect to be on their moveset until you see otherwise. So, yeah, I ended up getting punished for that. But overall, I think, yeah, Talonflame and Kyurem put in a lot of work today. Hoping we can show off, you know, what the berry combination can do tomorrow. One other cool thing is, like, Choice Band or Shifu, you can Fire Punch in Sun one-shot like Zacian. So we didn't really get that as an opportunity today. But, yeah, this team is really cool. And I think it's, like, the fact, when you look at the top 16 teams from, like, regionals, right, this one clearly sticks out because, first of all, it's a very unique restricted duo in Calyrex Kyurem, and second of all, like, it has a ton of fun sets, right? We didn't really break into all of the cool things on this team, but, you know, between the Berry on the Talonflame and Endure, between Will-O-Wisp on it, between Speed Swap on Calyrex and Imprison plus Trick Room, there's just so much cool stuff on here. So that's going to be it for this one. Thank you so much, as always, for watching. Leave a like if you enjoyed. Thanks to the original creator, Nathan, once again for the team. Don't forget to answer the question of the day, and I'll see you all soon. All right, peace.